Hello and welcome to day 2 of round 2 of the St George Motorcycle Club Sprint Series. This is our first race of the day in Formula St George. As it's a progressive grid, I finished 4th yesterday, so I need to start from 4th today. We have Cameron Swain, JJ and Cameron Dunker in front of us. The weather is a lot better today, as you can see, none of the rain that we had yesterday. Got off to a fairly good start. JJ had a ripper. You can see he's wheeling the Ninja 400 in the first couple of gears there. This race was a really good one for us. We actually threw in some brand new Bridgestone VO2 slicks from White's Racing Products, using the standard VO2 front and the new 180 655 rear. So we threw them in for this race, and it actually works out very well to our advantage. I managed to push a very good lead from the start, straight off the start-finish straight. And then coming into lap 3, we had clear air, track temperature was great, air temperature was very good, the wind was minimal. So following pit board that Andrew had out for me on the straight, I knew I had a bit of a gap. It was feeling good, the bike was feeling mega, thanks to the setup changes from Rob from Wellsprung. With those fresh tyres, was able to push quite hard. I didn't know that I was on my way to a very good lap. I was just trying, learning the bike. We had new gearing in the bike, new tyres. Everything was fresh, and I had this inkling in the back of my head that the kids were going to be right behind me, so I was pushing pretty hard. You heard me hit the rev limiter there. Was into the rev limiter by about 0.8 of a second, which would ultimately come back to haunt me towards the end of this lap. You can see I'm also a bit wide there into turn 9, especially on exit. Didn't make the apex. Was pushing so hard that, little mistakes like that creep in. Pushing hard there, good drive off of 12, lots of grip from the new rear tyre. You see there, little did I know it at the time, but that was a new personal best lap for me, which is absolutely astounding, with a 141.055. Just an unreal lap time out of a 76 horsepower SV650 with 110 kilos worth of me riding it. So absolutely stoked with that. A little bit annoyed at myself for hitting that rev limiter and running wide at 9. I feel like we definitely could have been in the 1 minute 40 bracket. Alas, we just have to stick with a 41 flat for now. Coming in the last lap, it was such a fast race for me. Good conditions, like I mentioned in the previous video. It's 11 minutes plus 1 lap, so we had good conditions, meaning that we were all running an extra lap completely within the race. So I started to lap a few of the competitors who were a bit slower. And you can hear me yell into my helmet as I went through turn 1 there. I saw Andrew holding the pit board out with the 41.05. Once I saw that, I was absolutely blown away. For many years, I've been riding SV650s around the track and dreamed of doing that kind of lap time. But I always thought to get that kind of lap time, I would have to hop up the motor or do something crazy, get 90 horsepower, with a proper over-the-top super twin motor, and to go out with a ostensibly stock with a few slight modifications to make the motor not snap cranks. To get that lap time is insane. Starting race 2, you hear me clip the limiter there between first and second. Again, we're getting really, really great launches on the SV at the moment, which has allowed us to push out that 1.5 second, actually in this race even a 2 second lead straight off the start. It's the biggest advantage we have. is we have that torque off the line. Sure, it's got to move more mass, but we just have far more torque. Now, we'd been pushing pretty hard. I had been riding this bike in 600 as well, so even though we had fresh tyres in the morning, everything's starting to wear. See Cameron Swain pulling an amazing move on me into turn 9 there. Yes, on the Saturday, that was kind of one of my strongest points in the track. Cameron obviously learnt from following me that was my strong point. He saw an opening and he took it, knowing that I wasn't going to peel in too hard on him and rub too close to him. Made his advantage stick. Like we saw Saturday, my exit drive and Cameron's exit drive is about the same, and especially with the headwind that we're facing there, the little bit of a hole that Cameron punched was enough for me to be able to pass him into turn 1 there like that. You can see me going into turn 2, I was taking a defensive line. Unfortunately, it was a bit too defensive and I ended up running wide, and Cameron was able to take full advantage of that, cutting it back in tight. One of the big advantages of the small Moto 3 bikes is they just change line almost on a whim. Though the bumps do affect them, you can see Cameron's being pretty heavily affected by some of the undulations in the track. Although he is an insane level of fight in him and he just pushes so hard. Some really good combat here. I was just trying my best to get in front of him. I was able to just outstrip him over the hill, but pushing hard. With the new gearing, I forgot on that entry into 6, I was supposed to back it off to 2nd rather than my normal 3rd from my previous gearing selections. So I didn't have the engine brake, wasn't able to get the bike stopped in time. Coming up the back straight here, we had a bit of a back marker there. One of my biggest advantages still remains here into 10 and 11 on that flip-flop and on the entry. So I was able to close up that gap up to Cameron fairly handily. And what the camera doesn't show here is that I'm more or less only about 3 meters off his tail. So again, with that headwind hitting Cameron, I was able to use my advantage, a bit more torque off the corner. And that headwind slowing Cameron down, a bit of a slipstream for me. And I actually felt really bad crossing the line for that one. I put my hand out and gave a bit of a wave to Cameron there, you know, a bit of an apologetic wave, because it's one thing that I really enjoy is the combat and winning in combat. And you can see there Cameron, you know, giving us a fist bump. Speaking to him afterwards, he was super stoked with the battle. And while he won his class and I won my class, it's always great to try to win outright. So we got the outright win there. In what I felt, you know, was maybe a bit of an unfair win, but at the same time, you look at MotoGP, you know, the Ducati has its advantage, the Yamaha has its advantage, so it's a similar kind of tale here. Here we are starting race 5 in Formula St George. Again, conditions are mint. Another cracking start from the SV. Started playing around with the way I launched, and I don't think it worked quite as well as it had done in the past. I think I might be reverting back to my previous launching style. But nevertheless, we got a good launch. So here coming into turn 9, Cameron Swain throws an amazing maneuver on me, and a huge thank you to Cameron for allowing us to use his footage from his foresight helmet. Again, you can see there I had a slightly better entry into 10 and 11. Cam runs a bit wide, so couldn't get into the gas as early as I could. Again, I'm able to slipstream him. If you look at Cameron's footage up in the corner there, you can see Cam Duncan was able to follow me past Cam Swain into turn 1. I obviously create an enormous slipstream bubble, so Duncan was able to follow me through. Cameron Swain's able to get around the outside of Dunker through turn 2, which is a super impressive move. And at this stage, you can see I'm pushing quite hard. In Cameron Swain's footage there, you can see I'm moving around a bit on the bike, knee down, nearly elbow down, pushing very hard into turn 6 on the last lap, and
Fuck.
You can see with this slow-mo, you'll actually notice a big black line coming out from under the bike, and that's me locking the front. Knees almost on the ground and the front's locking before the rest of the bike goes down. It was such a fast crash. Again, going into turn 6, I was pushing very hard, backed it down to the 2 gears. The data shows that I was actually entering that corner about 5 k's an hour faster than I had been previously, so I'd obviously hooked up very well off turn 5. I was just pushing very, very hard. I'm offline by about 30 centimeters or around about a foot. Again, pushing super hard to make sure that I can try to get that corner clean. Pushed over the limit. Thankfully, I'm okay. Bike is mostly okay. Usual crash damage, handlebar, clutch lever, foot peg, that sort of thing. So massive thank you to St. George for putting on the racing event. Massive thanks to all of the volunteer marshals. Big shout out to all our sponsors and supporters. Most importantly, big shout out to my team. So if you're enjoying this kind of footage, if you're enjoying these videos, please hit like and subscribe. If you want to give us some feedback, drop a comment below. If you don't like all this stuff, leave a comment below anyway. Just tell us what you don't like about it.
What's a guy like you doing in a place like this? Good job.